Now, a KXAN News in-depth report.
Parents know children will always get bumps and bruises. Sometimes an accident can even mean a trip to the emergency room. One Round Rock family says after something minor, they got a major hospital bill and a visit from Child Protective Services. Tonight, we look in depth at a Texas law that's aimed at revealing child abuse. The family tells our Chris Sadeghi it may go too far.
Like all babies, little Kinsey Williams is still getting used to her own 2 feet.
She's a typical one-year-old. She toddles around and falls.
And while playing with her 13-year-old sister back in May, Kinsey's parents say she accidentally fell off the couch. Her mom and dad took no chances when they noticed a bruise on her shoulder.
We took her down to the Dell Children's Hospital to make sure that nothing was wrong.
An x-ray showed a hairline fracture of the 11-month-old's clavicle. Doctors said due to the type of injury and her young age, surgery was not an option, and it would just need time to heal. But then they told her father, Jason, she'd need an extra skeletal survey.
I said, what are the reasons? And they said, we have to ensure that there hasn't been any past injuries.
Right then and there, Jason and his wife, Allison, say it felt like they were being accused of child abuse. But doctors at Dell Children's Medical Center point to the Texas Family Code.
The Texas law not only obligates us to report, it also empowers a healthcare provider to obtain the tests that are necessary regardless of the parental expression of concern.
Initially, Jason went along with the extra testing that he had to pay for out of his own pocket. But after seeing an already injured Kinsey crying, he'd had enough.
After about 10 minutes of them holding her down and her crying, I couldn't take it anymore, so I picked her up and took her out.
Doctors warned that if they left, Child Protective Services would be informed. Sure enough, at 1:30 a.m., Jason and Allison got a knock on their door. A CPS caseworker interviewed them for 15 minutes about their home and family, and then told them to go back to the hospital.
Then she walked outside to talk to her supervisor and then came in and said, if you don't take her back right now, then we will legally take her away from you. I said, it feels like that I'm guilty until proven innocent.
We need to investigate that to protect the child.
ER chief at Dell Children's, Dr. Pat Crocker, says it can lead to tense situations, but Dell has a policy of testing children under 1 year old, and it's there to help save abused children, possibly save their lives. And since he started here in 1986, he's found that families rarely object and doesn't think it should scare them from the ER.
We've probably only had 5 or 6 families who were actually very upset about the protocol being applied to them. Fear about the state law that requires reporting to CPS shouldn't play a role in that because that's an uncommon occurrence.
He says testing is just out of caution and that if they don't test, they do have to report.
When we see families that are resistant to that, we usually do not insist upon the test, but we will report to CPS because that does need to be investigated.
She's healing fine. We took her to her regular doctor and they said it looks great.
As for Kinsey, she went back to get the test and they checked out negative. Her mom and dad happy she's okay, even if they feel a little hurt.
There should at least be probable cause to put a child through that additional testing. It was very hard to hear that, you know, especially when there's no reason to believe that there's any other injury besides what there was.
And here are the main points again. Texas law says a person who believes child abuse is taking place must make a report to law enforcement. On top of that, hospitals will have their own policies. At Dell Children's, when kids under 1 year of age come to the ER with a fracture, doctors automatically do a skeletal survey to see if there are other injuries since they are harder to spot in infants. And additionally, the American Academy of Pediatrics study found that less than 15% of childhood injuries are caused by abuse. Still, the study says practitioners should be vigilant when it comes to the possibility of abuse when evaluating children. Now, tonight at 10 o'clock, we'll take a closer look at the role that CPS plays in this whole process.
Chris, thanks.
All right, Chris, again, thank you very much. And according to CPS, the professions reporting child abuse in Texas most often are teachers, doctors, and law enforcement. Combined, they account for about 50% of all reports.